Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to this video. Welcome to this call. This is a live video that I'm doing, recording here in July, and it's specifically about remaining grounded in turbulent times. This is something that someone had asked me to record a video about I think it was a month or two back. I had asked for some topics. Someone gave me this. I recorded a video, but I didn't like how it came out. We were talking about being grounded and centered, and I felt a little erratic and not very grounded. So I wanted to redo this video for this individual and wanted to redo this video with a little bit better quality of being on my part. And I'll talk a little bit about, what I think was going on during that time, because I think it'll apply for other people and just be helpful information. So those of you that don't know, my name is Jackson Hardin. I'm a private coach and a mentor. I work with a lot of people around a lot of different things. In the past, I've worked with a lot of men running men's groups and helping guys figure out, how to stay centered, how to stay grounded in difficult conversations with their partners, or when life itself is throwing things at them and they're trying to stay on track and trying to stay moving towards their purpose. I've been working a little bit on how I want to start presenting things moving forward. And one of the things that I want to say, in the way that I like to approach things, is I like to approach things, using the mind and body, because they can't be separated. So a lot of the things that I share are about embodiment, and just about everything I share, if not everything, is it's all things that I do myself and I practice myself and I've experienced myself. So there's a deeper level of knowing than just something that you would read in a book. And anything that I share, I recommend you try it out. Don't take my word for it. You try it out, see if it's helpful for you. If not, discard it. If it is, take it on. But I like to talk about things in a way that utilizes the body. And there's a lot happening in the body. There's a lot of information happening in the body. There's a lot of different ways that we can block ourselves from that information. But when we learn how to show up in a certain way, when we learn how to breathe a certain way, to sit a certain way, to move a certain way, we start to open up some channels in our body to where we can connect with our mind, in a clearer way. When we understand a little bit more of where our thoughts and ideas and how our emotions drive our behaviors. Um, when we start to gain that awareness, we can become a little bit clearer about, what's us and what's true versus what's, a reaction to something that happened in the past, or just, an idea, or, something that we picked up that may not be in alignment with who we are or really true for us. And the other thing that we can do when we start to, connect with our body, is we can start to connect with our own intuition and maybe access something a little bit higher than our thinking mind to make some of the decisions that we make in the world. Um, so this video, like I said, is going to be specifically around staying grounded in turbulent times. So let's go ahead and dive into that topic in and of itself. The way I'd like to start this is talking about the reasons why you would want to do that in the first place. Why would you want to stay grounded? Why would you want to stay centered? Why would you want to do that? And for you personally, you may have your own reasons that come up, just even as I ask that. And it may be obvious, it may be an obvious question, right? Like, why wouldn't I want to stay centered? Why wouldn't I want to stay grounded? But getting clear on why you would even want to do that, or if you even want to do that, if it's even appropriate for you to do that, would be the first thing. Um, I find personally, when I'm grounded and I'm more centered, I can stay on the path of creating and doing the things that I feel I'm here to create and do in the world. I can stay the path better if I can stay centered. I don't get wobbled left and right, pulled around by different happenings, whether they be internal, external. I also find that when I'm more centered, when I'm more grounded, I'm more available for what people around me need. I'm more here, I'm more present, and I can show up better for the world itself. I can move through the world, I think, in a way that serves the world better if I'm more grounded and less scattered. So I can actually be the things that I want to see out in the world. So these are some of the reasons that I have for wanting to stay grounded. I'd be curious to hear, like, what are your reasons for staying grounded, or just for you to connect with it? Why would you want to stay grounded in a difficult time, in a turbulent time. We could take these even deeper and say, we want to stay grounded for those we love, to share an example for our family, for our kids, for our friends, for our community, for the world at large, that we won't be swayed left and right. And one of the reasons that I think this video came on is because times are a little bit turbulent for people right now. There's a lot happening, a lot moving. We're coming. We had a pandemic or whatever a couple years ago, and people might have gotten thrown off track a little bit. So how do we let that not happen again and kind of stay centered and solid in what's true for us, regardless of what's happening in the world? So that's another big reason I think it's important for us to stay grounded. So let's talk about some obstacles that get in the way of us staying present and staying centered. One of them, I think a big one, is a lack of direction, a lack of clarity of direction, of knowing where you're moving. If you don't know where it is you're going, if you don't know what it is you're moving towards, it can be easy to get pulled off course. One of the main things that I do with a lot of the people I work with or the groups that I run is we get clear on your vision. Like, what do you want to create in the world? Why are you here? Why do you feel you're here? And really identifying what those things are and mapping out, like, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I feel I'm here to do with my life. And when we have that vision created, it can become a lot easier for us to stay on track and doing the things that are going to support that purpose or that vision, as opposed to if we don't know what those things are. If we don't have any idea where we're headed or what it is we're doing, we can be pulled left and pulled right. And there is no, I mean, how do you know when you're centered? How do you know when you're grounded? How do you know when you're on track, when you don't know where it is you want to move towards? So, lack of clarity, I think, is a big reason that a lot of us end up kind of moving left and moving right and not moving down the line that we feel we should be moving down. Another one is lack of structure and routine. So we can get clear on these things that we want to create in the world, but if we don't have some consistent something in our life to continually help us show up and drop back into the present moment, drop back into our body, drop back into our purpose, drop back into our direction, there's nothing consistent going on. Um, I mean, that in and of itself is kind of an expression of not being grounded, right? Something not being consistent would be, we do it a little bit here, we do it a little bit there. It gets missed over here, it gets missed over there. So there's this variability, and variability can be great, but if the variability is affecting our ability to show up the way that we need to show up, that's when we want to look at it a little bit. So lack of structure, lack of routine, that can be a daily routine, like a morning practice, an evening practice, something to prepare you for the day, something to help you unwind from the day. It can be your weekly structure and routine. I know, for me personally, it can be very helpful to have my calendar lined out of what I want to do for the day upcoming, because that helps me show up and know where to put my energy. But if the calendar is empty, then it gets kind of fuzzy. And that's, for the day, that's for the week. So having structure and routine is a great way to um, help you stay grounded, and not having it is a great way to feel a little bit lost. Another big one, disconnection from your body. I mean, it seems obvious again. How can we even be grounded or be present if we're disconnected? And, over the years, as I've gotten more and more into kind of these embodiment practices, and just gotten more in tune with my body, you can start to see in other people, and you can start to see in yourself, but you can start to see in other people, people that are disconnected from their body, and they live in the head. They're up here. There's no attention down here. There's no awareness down here. Anywhere from the neck down is just completely numb and checked off. And I know I've certainly been like that at certain points in my life, and still am sometimes. But this disconnection from the body can really cause us to, I mean, how can you be grounded if the part of you that touches the ground isn't even something that's in your awareness? Some of the things that can add to this or cause this is, too much time in the headspace, too much time on social media. And it can be even too much time just working on the computer, but too much time in the head can pull us out of the body. So, having exercises and routines to get you back in your body can be very helpful. Movement, stretching, things like this. Social media can definitely pull us out of this. The daily grind of waking up, getting ready for work, going to work for 8 hours, coming home can leave you very embodied and very disconnected. I was doing metal work for the last year, waking up in the morning, driving to work, coming home. And it was just such a stark reminder of how easy it is to get kind of stuck in that routine and how difficult it is. Like once that momentum's going of those mornings, waking up early, going to work, coming home, you're tired, you just want to kind of unwind. Do that for one day, do that for 2 days, do that for 3 days, do that for a week. And it really starts to, for me anyway, really pulled me out of my body a lot. So just something to be aware of. If you're working that 9 to 5, you might have to do things a little bit differently to stay grounded. Another thing that will lead to this disconnection from the body can be like an emotional overload where we're not processing things, we're numbing things out, and just kind of checking out. Unskillful behaviors can add to it. Use of substances. So I wanted to touch on this. I was saying earlier when I recorded this video initially, I was not feeling very grounded. And part of it was at that time I was using tobacco, like smoking cigars. And what I've found is, with nicotine and with tobacco, it makes me first of all very reactive, but also very kind of jittery, like and yeah, I feel, now that I'm not smoking anymore, like I feel the massive difference it has just in like my ability to be here, ability to be present. So substances that we use, and it's not saying that you can't use substances. It's just kind of being skillful about when we do. Are we using them to check out? Or are we using them to? My friend put it in a great way. Are we using them to check out? Or are we using them to kind of check in and dive deeper into the present moment, or to escape the present moment? Um, Unskillful behaviors. Of course, there's things that we can do. I've already mentioned social media, but other habits that we might have that will pull us out of our bodies and up into our heads. And then the last thing that I have here for obstacles that keep us from being grounded is how we see the world or how we perceive the world. If we have a certain perception of the world, um, first of all, it can cause us to dissociate, and second of all, it can make it kind of difficult to want to be here, and to want to be in this. So we find ways to escape it. Um, all right, so these are some of the reasons that we may not feel grounded, that we may not feel centered. Another one is just, the world kind of has its own agenda and wants us to pay attention to this or pay attention to that. And if we get too caught up in that, if you're watching too many videos, too many news cycles on, YouTube or the television, or you're scrolling too much, your attention's being drug over here, over there, over here, over there. How can you possibly, feel centered? How can you possibly feel grounded when you're scattered, in a million different directions? So just being aware of that. And again, not saying not to do these things, but just to be conscious of when we're doing it and aware of the impact that it has so that we can choose when to do it and how to do it in such a way that serves us. All right, so here's some practices or here's some ways that you can start um, training yourself to be a little bit more grounded. And let me say that, this is like anything else, like any skill you can learn, you can become better at. You can become a more grounded person with certain practices, with certain exercises, with consistency with them. You can actually shift um, your way of being, the way people feel you. They can feel you as a more grounded individual. I have a friend, and he's a little bit more on the kind of I don't want to say emotional side, but he's a little more feeling oriented. He can be, um, he just doesn't feel as solid sometimes. He made the commitment to do ice baths for I think it was a month or something straight. Maybe it was longer than that. But the next time I saw him, he felt completely different. He felt like a completely different person. He felt solid. He felt like just there, like I'd never felt him before. And it had come from, these ice baths that he was doing and just changed the way that he was in the world. So anyway, you can shift if you want to feel more grounded, if you want to feel more present, not just for yourself, if you want others to feel you that way. You can definitely do that with practices, and I'm going to share some with you now. So the first one is just the embodiment aspect of it. Like right now, can you feel your feet? Can you feel your lower body? Can you feel your breath? Can you feel sensation in your hands? What all can you feel? And this is something that a lot of us have gotten away from just kind of in the modern world is we are very disconnected, from the lower body. And with practice, we can keep a little bit of attention, on our breath. We can keep a little bit of attention on the sensations in our lower body while we have a conversation, while we record a video. So there's an embodiment piece, and it's a big piece of being grounded. But if you wanted to feel more grounded right now, how would you need to sit? Is there an adjustment you can make in how you're sitting? Is there an adjustment you could make in how you're breathing? Could you breathe a little deeper or maybe not breathe as deep? What kind of shift would make you feel more present, more grounded right now? Is there something you could do with your attention? Are you scrolling on another device while you're watching this video, or are you present here with this? So just being aware of what can you do in this moment right now in order to be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more present. If you guys are watching this live, throw something in the chat. Let me know who you are, where you're from. It's always good to hear from people when I'm doing these things and hear what's going on. So, and also, you could throw in the chat. What's one shift that you make right now? What's one shift or adjustment you made that made you feel a little bit more present? All right, number two that I have here is the systems and routines aspect. So we talked a little bit about having that direction, having that place that we know we're moving towards, having that plan, those long-term goals, and then having that daily plan or that daily routine that kind of keeps you moving towards them, that keeps you focused or centered in a way. But some of the systems and routines that can really serve you when it comes to this is moving your body, having an exercise routine or going for a run, or having a stretching routine, having a yoga routine, routinely moving your body, getting some of this excess energy out, unwinding some of this excess tension that can really help you um, over time be more and more grounded. Breath work is an excellent way to do this. One of my favorite breath work exercises, I did it every day for years. I still do it periodically, but is like a Wim Hof style breathing where you're taking big inhales and just relaxing on the exhale. Do about 30 of those. Hold the inhale, hold the exhale, and it'll really just drop you into the present moment. It'll really just cut through all the mental stuff, all the emotional stuff that might be going on, and help you kind of land here. So breath work is a great way to do it. Meditation in and of itself, just closing the eyes, paying attention to the breath. So many different meditations you can do, but taking that scattered mind and starting to concentrate it and still it will help you, mentally become more stable, which will help you become more stable in the rest of your being. Excuse me. Another one's cold showers. I had a kid recently, I think about 6 weeks ago, and the cold showers have been a godsend for me and just my nervous system. In the morning, first thing, get up 5 minutes in the cold shower, and it just helps drop me in. Particularly in the afternoon, if I'm getting a little bit wound up or worked up or hot in whatever way. It's summer now. Cold shower, that'll drop me back in. So highly recommend ice baths or cold showers. Those will really help pull you into the present moment, and that carries on throughout the day. If you wake up in the morning and have a meditation, that's going to have an impact on the way you are throughout the day. And the other thing with all of these things is we do these systems and routines, we do these things regularly so that they become ingrained, so that they become consistent, like within our bodies. And then in a moment of difficulty, when things get chaotic, we have access to them. Oh, I'm going to take a breath. Oh, I'm going to shift my posture. I need to take a cold shower. But we do them as a discipline, as a daily discipline, as a routine. We do them regularly so that when we need them, they're available. Not doing so would be like jumping in a ring, having never hit a heavy bag before, and hoping that you know how to fight. it would be like, it would be like jumping on stage with a guitar, to play a show, but you've never practiced before, right? You practice and then you have it available to you when the time when it's required. And then the other thing that I have for staying grounded is proper sleep protocols, making sure you're getting enough sleep, going to bed on time, waking up, in the morning, but having that routine versus, going to bed at 1 a.m. one night, the next night going to bed at 9 p.m. That fluctuation, that shift, that change is going to affect everything. It's going to affect those routines that we talked about. It's going to affect, what your body is creating as far as different chemical cocktails that it's putting together. So making sure that your sleep regimen is on point is another excellent way to stay grounded. Planning is another way. We talked about this a little bit, having that long-term goal. I have a video, how to create a 10-year plan, and how to create a life plan. Essentially, is when we have everything down on paper and we know where we're headed, we can kind of relax into that process. But if there's these things that we want to do or create or achieve or experience, and we haven't really zeroed in on those things, again, we can be pulled left and right, trying this, trying that, which can be helpful to try different things out. But at a certain point, I think it's really helpful to just get clear on what are some things that I want to do. And then you can start kind of doing those things and checking them off as you do. So having that long-term plan and then taking that long-term plan and breaking it down into things that you can do throughout the day or things that you can do throughout the week. Um, two things that I like to do, or I guess I have three things here that I like to do around all of this is one is I like to ask myself, what do I want? What do I want to do today? What do I want to create today? And in doing that, certain ideas or things will come up that I jot down. And I like to jot down just three things. What are the three main things I need to do today? I'm not the first person to talk about doing this, I know, but it's been really helpful for me just to write the three things, the three big commitments. Other things may happen, but these are the three things that I'm really going to try to knock out. And again, it just gives you direction for the day. Um, and another thing that can be very useful when it comes to, tackling these three things or it comes to doing anything really that there's a little bit of difficulty with is just using 5 minutes, just setting a timer for 5 minutes to do the task. Setting that container to get the ball rolling. After those 5 minutes, you can keep going if you want, but just making those 5 minute commitments can really make it easier for us to show up to some of these commitments that we have for ourselves. Another piece that's important is your environment. So if you want to stay grounded, if you want to, have this life where you can stay centered when difficulty arises, you need to have an environment that supports you. You need to have a home that supports you. A lot of times we think of environment like workplace and friends, but like your actual home should nourish you in a way. You should you should get things from being at your home. You should be able to feel safe and to relax. You could take it up a notch and turn your home even into a place that re-energizes you, that that you enjoy being at, that you have fun being at, that your body's nourished by. So set up your space, have things that inspire you. Have your space be clear of, clutter and debris. I like to, burn certain things in my space to kind of clear some of the subtle um, happenings that might be interfering with, my way of being. um, so Palo Santo and things like this to clear the space can be very helpful. And then also eliminating distractions. Your environment extends beyond just your home. It's also, your computer, your phone. Um, Personally, I have just about every notification on my phone shut off. You want to know how to be distracted. You want to know how to be uncentered. Have Pick up your phone to do something and have a text come through, or be working on something and have an email ding, and then you're over there tending to that. While you're tending to that, some other notification goes off, and then you're over there. So removing those notifications can be really helpful in regards to setting up your environment to support you. And then finally, having community, having friends that you can go to, that you can turn to, that you can talk to about things that are going on. I mentioned earlier, like emotional buildup or like resentments that come up, maybe not with your friends, maybe with your friends. but with life, just with your job, maybe there's some financial difficulties, maybe there's difficulty in the relationship, but having some sort of community somewhere where you can kind of unload those things and sometimes talk about them to find solutions, sometimes just talk about them to get rid of them. Um, that's a really important piece when it comes to this ongoing ability to stay grounded. If we're carrying around these things and not addressing them, they're going to weigh on us and they're going to sway us in different directions. I don't have this one on here, but I was just thinking as I was talking about this, an important one, very helpful one for me is writing, is journaling. Journaling is a way that I like to process a lot of things going on in my mind and in my life. So every morning I write, and it's just if I don't do it, like there's this irritation of like, oh, I need to write just to filter out what happened yesterday, what's going to happen today. So writing can also be a really helpful kind of therapeutic means for letting go of excess stuff in order to be here. A couple things I want to mention when it comes to being, grounded and centered, or the pursuit of being that, that can really get in the way, or pitfalls, if you will. Pitfalls. I've just got two here. One is being too rigid, so trying too hard to stay too centered to the point where you're disconnected again from the present moment, from your body, from your friends, from your partner. Being too rigid can be a pitfall in this pursuit of being grounded, being present, being here, not being willing to change, not being willing to look at what's going on around you or take feedback or advice from other people. Being too rigid can be a pitfall in this pursuit. On the other end of it, being too placid, so not really kind of biting down and doing the things that you need to do in order to create, say, those structures in your life or those disciplines in your life that are going to help you um, remain present, that are going to help you remain grounded. So, for instance, maybe you've identified that doing a daily meditation would be really helpful for you. But when it comes time to sit down at the cushion, you decide that there's all these other things that you need to do instead. So, what I'm talking about is giving yourself too much leniency sometimes can be a real pitfall when it comes to creating this ground in yourself. So knowing when to kind of bite down, take care of it, and also knowing when to loosen up a little bit. I'm sure I'll be talking about that and other things like this in other videos in more detail in the future. So again, this call is all about how do you stay grounded in difficult times and turbulent times? As I mentioned, all these practices and all these things I talked about, we do them ahead of time. So when things get difficult, when the world goes into lockdown, when some conflict arises, we have skills to fall back on. We have things to fall back on. Imagine trying to develop, a practice for um, remaining calm and centered when you don't know if you're going to have a job or not the next day, when you don't know whether or not, someone that you're dating or seeing or your partner and you are splitting up. When, God forbid, a death happens in the family and there's nothing there to help you stay grounded. And then these life happenings occur. And then what? So these practices are things that we do ahead of time, and they change the way that we are, they change the way that we be in the world, and then we have them to fall back on when things get difficult. So thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Jackson Hardin. As the channel says, I'm going to be doing more lives like this, more videos like this. I've um, been doing a lot of considering about what the path looks like for me moving forward. Like I had mentioned, I had taken on a job for a little bit, but right now I'm away from the job with the baby and everything, and really just reassessing everything and looking at where I want to start putting my attention moving forward. And I'm just really feeling called to get back into coaching, to get back into, um, creating these videos, writing more. Um, these are things that like I've had on the mind for a while. I've done a little bit, stopped a little bit, but I'm feeling more ready and to really just dive into this stuff a little bit heavier. So I I've been looking right now as you guys see me kind of distracted. I'm looking through my notes yesterday and a couple days ago. I mean, I created this list. I could just scroll and scroll on this list all these different things I want to create videos and content around, just to help people live more productive lives, to get a little bit more out of their life and their experience, just things that I've learned that have been helpful. So do subscribe. There's much more coming. I appreciate you watching this video. Give it a like, share, leave a comment, all that stuff. And I will be back here probably later on this week. Thanks again for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.